Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Would you please join with me in pledge of allegiance?
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Kathy, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you. Yeah,
Would you do roll call for us, please?
sure. Mayor McGowan,
Here.
Matthew Lund,
Present.
John Glondo,
Here.
Rustin Weaver is absent, Stephen Harper,
Present.
Mickey Holtz,
Present.
Beth Williams is absent, and Ken Ratliff.
Here.
Okay, do I have a motion to excuse the absent council members?
Move that we excuse the absence of Beth Williams and Rustin Weaver. Second.
Moved by Stephen Harper, seconded by Matthew Lund to excuse the absent council members. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, they're excused. So approval of the meeting agenda.
Move that we approve the meeting agenda.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to approve the meeting agenda. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, meeting agenda is approved. Okay, announcements, appointments, awards, and recognitions. There isn't really anything that I have. Okay, so we'll go down now to the consent agenda.
Move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Questions on the motion?
I'd just like to ask a question on the May 3rd minutes. The public hearing for the community development block grant application,
Yeah.
is that going to come at the next meeting?
Oh, well, the public hearing. I think we set that, but I'm not sure.
We have notices, I guess.
It's been noticed. We had to notice it.
Yes.
And the date for that. I have to find out. It's not on. our agenda.
I think it went to the newspaper. Kathy, I think you didn't Ben send you a notice that went into the newspaper?
He did. I can look that up for you real quick.
But I don't remember what date we set for the hearing.
Okay.
We can certainly amend the agenda as we need to. If we get back that we need to have an open public
Well,
hearing.
in the notes, it does say that we need a public hearing no later than May 24th,
Okay.
Mhm.
So we'll,
I guess, with a minimum of 2 weeks notice prior to the public hearing.
yeah, that's why we had this special thing. So I think we'll make it.
Okay. That's all I wanted to.
Okay, yes, we will make it. Yeah, okay, all right. With that, one question, any other comment or any questions on the consent agenda motion? If not, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, consent agenda is passed. So we're at officer reports, and the first person we'll hear from our city administrator, Rob Ullman.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Council. I only have a couple things to report on because I know there's a big show and tell coming, so that's pretty exciting. So I'm going to try to be techie here and share my screen. So you can see last month for April was a big month. 11 permits were issued, bringing in nearly 19,000, and I did 42 inspections. Now compare that to last year. Here's last year. 12 permits, which is comparable, although D.R. Horton was the majority of them. But that was just the start of COVID. So I had 5 inspections for that last year at this time, 42 last month for, and then a year ago was 5 inspections. So that's kind of gives a perspective on the building industry right now. It's going strong. Other than that, I do have one thing that I was going to mention from the clerk's office, from Kathy. So next week is filing week between May 17th and May 21st. So next week is filing week, and if the council members that I list off here are interested, that they need to sign up by next week. John Glando, Mickey Holtz, Stephen Harper, and Rustin Weaver are up for election. So that's just a friendly reminder. But with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer, but that's all my report today.
Okay, thank you, Rob. And next, we'll hear from our city planner, Lucy Temple.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. So permitting updates, we continue to get some permit applications trickling in. We're anticipating a few more pre-application meetings. And the vertical bridge project, the cell phone tower that is anticipated, it already started construction. Some people may have noticed down by the Oaks Avenue interchange. And the city also received the payment of their first 6 years lease in a lump sum last week. The 12-acre recreational parcel transfer still in the works. I've been getting a lot of questions about that. Planning Commission is continuing to work with Greg Dorn on draft updates to the future land use map and official zoning map. And just a little bit of miscellaneous information, the city's RCO grant that was for the horse parks covered arena project, it didn't score very well in the initial round, but there might be still an option to receive funding for that grant. And so Leslie Thurston and I have been scrambling to get some last minute information back to the RCO, and we'll find out the outcome of their meeting, which will be in the end of June. But that would be a big boost for the horse park. So that's it, because of the whole, rest of the meeting. Got things to do.
Yeah, we'll be hearing a lot from you a little bit later.
Yeah.
Say, Mayor, right before the Public Works goes, I do have an update from Kathy on Councilman Ratliff's question. So it is published and posted, and the public hearing is set for 5/24. May 24th.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay. Quick work there by the city.
That's all.
Okay, so now we'll hear from our Public Works Director, Mike Engelhardt.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Council. Rob, can you hear me okay? I got
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Perfect, because I'm going to get up and move around a little bit, but along with the show and tell that we got for tonight, there's also, we do other things besides dig up broken water mains. So want to take my hats off to my crew again, just to show you that they not only pay attention to what we're doing in the city, they pay attention to the surrounding cities and public areas that we have. Some people may have heard Pine Lock Sun Development 3, Division 3, which is across the street from the old number 3. They lost their well pumps. So that entire community went without water for about 3 to 4 days. Aaron, one of my public works leads, he reached out to me and asked if there was any way we could take a water tank up there to allow them to at least be able to flush toilets, kind of keep their thing going. And talking with Rob, we decided that it was probably in the best interest with that many community members. We actually let them take our water truck up there, labeled it as non-potable water, so the community could at least, still flush toilets and not be completely without water of sorts. So good job on them paying attention to everything else going on around us. We did finally get to hire a public works parks person. So Brad Taylor's officially on board. He comes to us from west side of the mountains, and he's excited and looking forward to getting involved. We've been out doing some hydrant repairs, and some of them are beyond repair, which I'll show part of some of that here with my show and tell. So we have some hydrants in the yard that we're going to be upgrading some of the hydrants throughout town that have been bagged for a while, that are finally ready to be replaced. So along with that, I guess we'll start the little show and tell here for a minute. And instead of pulling the other camera, Rob, I'm going to try something tricky.
Oh, good idea. Is that your, there you go. Flip that camera around.
I'm trying. That button up there. Ta-da! All right, so for everyone to see, this is actually our water pipes throughout the city, some of the stuff that we're dealing with. This is a 4-inch main line that came out of over in 4th and Columbia. We had a report of a water leak being seen, water boiling out of the ground. We exposed it, and this is what we found. It's a 4-inch steel wrapped pipe that has obviously been coming apart for many years, and it has been repaired many times. So we officially finally yanked it out of the ground and replaced it. But we have still well over 5,000 plus feet in the ground of this type of pipe. Just to show you, this is what the inside of the pipe looks like. That's your water pipe.
Oh, my.
Oh, you can see it up there. Cool. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Wow.
All of these bubbles that you see down in here, actually, as the water goes through and breaks those off, that causes another weak spot in the system. So one of the disadvantages, besides obvious water loss, when we have a water break, is sediment, rocks, gravel, things enter our system. Thus, this is a diaphragm from a fire hydrant that when you close the fire hydrant, this is supposed to seat on the fire hydrant. As you can see, all the rocks, debris, and everything that is incorporated has now caused this fire hydrant to leak, thus water loss throughout the city. And with the public paying attention, they call us, so they leak so bad, we end up decommissioning the fire hydrant. So you're ending up with water or fire prevention that's not being able to be given to the city. This one's one of my personal favorites. I've been talking about this since the day I started. This is your water tower. It is coming apart in chunks. One day we're going to have a really bad long day for Public Works when that thing finally comes apart, and it's going to be a bad day for the city as a whole. So just food for thought of that's just your city drinking water. Then you go up to our beautiful cemetery, and somehow they installed ABS black sewer vent piping for the irrigation system. So every winter, and sometimes 2 or 3 times a month, we get a phone call from Jose up at the cemetery that we have a new water feature at the cemetery. So we have to go up there, dig down, and repair and replace water lines for our irrigation system. The reason I'm bringing this to everyone's attention is just because I've preached how we dearly need funding, and it's getting to the point where it's becoming a serious matter, in my opinion, that we need to really start paying attention to our water system as a whole and doing what we need to do to try to, get some funding to clean up our water system and make it whole again. So that's all I got. If there's any questions.
Mike, thanks. This is a picture, says 1,000 words, but when we've got so much water main over 100 years old, this is what we're facing.
And this is just the steel pipe. There's over a mile of it. Then you take into consideration the concrete pipe that's 10 to 15 plus years over its lifespan. That's slowly starting to break and deteriorate.
Yeah. And I
it's a
believe,
serious issue.
We made major progress with our water plant, our pump plant, and a fair amount of pipes that went along with that.
Meters also.
And meters, yes. But there's still a lot of pipes in the city that are in dreadful need of replacement. And we as a council need to pay attention and get the resources into it. And So, yeah, I just applaud you for
Yeah.
giving such a good illustration. I believe we still have like wood stave water mains in a few places.
They're decommissioned, but they're still in the ground.
Yeah, okay, okay. Anyway, Mr.
Just for thought, I could throw in two kind of apparent sources of revenue. We have a, what's it called? We have the tower that just paid their first big lump sum rent. That has not been particularly earmarked. It's certainly been contemplated what the money might go to. And then also, water is an integral part of responding to the COVID disease and virus. And
Infrastructure.
certainly we could easily justify some of the funds that will eventually come in from the state and that came from the feds. I think those would be two very unmarked, untapped resources that wouldn't strain our populace to be able to consider an emergency response to these conditions.
So one of the things that I saw, Mike, that really what we have to be looking for is to, Mike, you're on your picture up there. In any case, it's that we leverage, I agree about, there is money going down the pike for infrastructure, but we use the money that we have to leverage, it's high priority for sure to get, because we can't just use the cash we have on hand. We have to use that to leverage bigger sums of money.
Yeah,
And we will, of course, keep fixing them, but not like that. Think of that one. How many times they dug that hole up. That pipe is tar wrapped steel pipe from at least
World War II.
So,
well, Mr. Mayor, I acknowledge and I think you're doing a fine job, but we can.
yeah,
So
But,
that should cost 1, 2,
We've
3,
got old
4,
pipes in our town.
5,
Yeah.
6,
Yeah.
7, 8. It cost $160,000, that one section.
Yeah, okay.
okay. Well,
Make sure you sign that up.
we're on the radar, let me tell you.
Well, and between you and our engineer, Mr. Annan,
Yeah.
that's why I mentioned this public hearing coming up. That's an application and part of that can go
Yeah,
to our water infrastructure,
yes, exactly.
if we get it.
Yeah, you got it.
But
But
it's
there'll be
an
other
important one.
opportunities. We're going to
Yes.
continue to pursue those.
But there's less opportunity for pipes than for other things. It seems like.
Actually, infrastructure seems to be
We-
the hot thing
We're
with
okay,
with
great.
what's coming down.
Well,
Beautification doesn't rate so good, but infrastructure apparently is
Yeah.
the key anymore.
well,
Okay.
I know I expect water to be there when I turn the faucet. And it doesn't happen by accident. It's not happenstance. And so, yeah, there's a lot of work that has to be done to keep that security in our water system.
And part of the program is that when we dig a street up or a street is repaired, we fix all the pipes in the ground.
There we go. Yeah.
That's the other thing we're working on. Okay, any other comments for Mike? Oh, you have something?
I was just gonna say we should potentially explore REIT 2 as another option for, because that's what it's for, it's for capital projects, and we are
Yeah.
gonna have a ton of development over the next so
Yeah.
many years, and
We could certainly look at that. I think that's being tossed around how to go about that. Me too, for sure. And it's definitely for concrete projects, so.
it's in the capital facilities plan and the comp
Capital
plan, yeah.
We'll look at all those things, for sure, I'm telling you. Okay, next we'll hear from our police chief, Kirk Bland.
Thank you, Alma Mayor, Council. Just a quick update on the camera system that the council approved, though that has been ordered. We are having some unique installation because none of our 2 cars are alike, and some of them are so old they're hard to find parts for. But we're working with Harbor Tech to get the exact parts for the exact car. So that's going to take a little while before the installation can occur. The Cummins diesel guy came to look at the generator, and Rob came up with them. And the mechanic was able to come up with a plan of what it needs to be serviced before it can be put hooked up and ready to go. And he is going to have all his needs in order. So after the electrician gets their portion of the job complete, he can come in and fire it up and get it tuned up and ready to go. The new towers that we bought some time ago, computer desk towers, those have been starting to get put into place. And so far, so good on that. And we are having a little bit of difficulty getting that one up at the Roslyn City Hall that I discussed earlier. And the issue is with the CGIS security requirements. So that the town is working with us to make sure we are able to satisfy those security measures. And that'll probably be the last station to get up and running, but we're working on that. And as far as calls of service go, we're consistent with last year's numbers. As of this date, when I just checked, we're at 1,381 calls so far for the year. Yes. Any questions?
It's all quiet here, sir. Thank you for that.
So just so I can understand the towers, the tower is a secure way for the city of Roslyn to be able to communicate with their police department. That's
It's
why they
actually,
need-
it's a workstation for us. So we have a workspace in City Hall. So if we're in the city of Roslyn or somebody needs to meet us there, we can do that instead of coming all the way back to the police department. And so they graciously gave us room at City Hall to do that. However, the room has to have certain security measures in place because it's our information, our computer system. So that's what we're working on
No,
right now.
I think that's great because it saves you travel time. Is there ever any plans maybe to possibly have something similar with the town of South Clay Island maybe?
I guess if the calls of service start rising, it would justify it. But at this point,
No.
I don't see a need.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. We're making improvements. Okay, thank you, Kirk, for that.
Yeah.
So Ed Mills, our fire chief, is next on the line. Are you there, Ed, somewhere?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Council. Month of April, we had 32 calls, one fire, and then we had 2 service calls and 2 good intent calls. The fire call was actually a planter box attached to one of the buildings in town. It appeared that a cigarette got placed in that. So just a reminder, don't put your cigarettes out in planters. The fertilizer in that oftentimes combusts with the cigarette and it causes problems. So we were fortunate that the resident caught that and called the fire department. We were able to extinguish that and with very little damage to the building. Another fire call that we got paged out to was a smoke investigation. There was light electrical smoke, and upon investigation, we found burned out fluorescent light. So that was the month of April. Any questions?
All's quiet. Thanks a lot. We'll be talking to you soon, Ed. Okay, next we'll hear from our water treatment plant operator from Veolia, William LaRue.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. You should find in your packets my usual graphs. Nothing really startling going on there. We are running very close to last year's total, which is very good. We're not seeing a large increase in our production. Both of the plants are running very well. That has allowed us to do a lot of focus, the main focus on maintenance of both the plants and the equipment. Both of the treatment plants did a blind proficiency testing as administered by DOH, or excuse me, Department of Ecology, and both plants passed with flying colors and achieved excellent ratings from the Department of Ecology. Weather has warmed up. So we've got the irrigation started up with the water treatment plant. And we've also completed the noxious weed abatement at both of the facilities. I'll be coming to you probably next council meeting with a proposal for the replacement of the software program down at the wastewater treatment facility, as well as a request for repairs to a power supply for our SLIC 500 programmable logic controllers. But I'll explain more about that at the next meeting. Short and sweet tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you folks may have.
Looks like we had a fair amount of I&I January through March this year.
Yes.
Wastewater.
Yes, rain on snow events will cause that problem, as well as elevated river elevations.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other comments for William? Okay, thank you, William, for that. You guys doing a good job. So you had, real quick, I guess, that was a sneak attack by Ecology. I'm kind of joking. They just come in out of the blue and test.
No, this is a scheduled twice a year blind test, proficiency testing. They will send us 2 sets of samples, one with known quantities that they'll publish to us. The other ones are unknown quantities, and we go through and do our standard laboratory testing.
Oh,
and
yes.
we have to hit within a certain parameter of the analytes in order to pass the proficiency test. And all of our results this time were within less than 5% of their target values.
Okay. You guys are running a good chemistry plan up there then. Okay. Well, congratulations on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, citizen comments on non-agenda items. You guys wish to address the council on anything? Okay. And
Thanks for coming.
Is there any anybody, Rob? Can you see? Is there anyone in the waiting room, or is there anybody on the phone that?
I'm seeing everybody, and there's nobody raising their hand. Everybody's on the screen too, so yeah, nobody's raising their hand.
And there's nobody off to the side somewhere.
Right. There's nobody in the waiting room. Good question. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've sat in waiting rooms before. Meetings, and it's very frustrating. So I just want to be sure. Okay. All right. We'll move on from citizen comment. So now we have a public appearance by Eric Bolstad, owner of the Studebaker Alley / Bonsai Teriyaki. So Eric, you have the floor? Go ahead.
Yes, good evening. Hey, Honorable Mayor and the City Council, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. As you know, I got a project going on there in the downtown corridor. It's been in the works for over 3 years now, and we're finally coming out of the ground, and I feel we're building something that will be very unique. I think it's respectful to the community as far as trying to honor the character and the stuff like that. I worked very closely with Rob, your building department official, and Lucy, the city planner, to make sure I'm doing something that I think would be unique. And I just have fallen in love with the community and want to spend the rest of my life here, and wanted to do something to really invest in the downtown core to see if it can't help to create other people to come in and want to invest in the city and bring it a further vitalization, because I just think, small town America brings so much character and uniqueness to it. And so when we create destinations and spots people want to see and stop by. I think it just generates the commerce and a focal point to get all the business community leaders around to work together and to cross market and use their products and really showcase and show off the city. And one of the things I have going is I have this Studebaker Alley portion, which I would like to play live music on Friday and Saturday nights between Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day weekend, which is only 3.5 months, and it's 2 days a week. And the city noise ordinance right now is, I believe it was written in 1940 or in the 40s, and feel it needs some updating. If, you know, the town is looking to boost the vitalization of the city and bring more people into town, I think if we could extend that on those dates or get a variance until a permanent ordinance is written, I'd be very happy. But I'm investing a lot of my own dollars into the belief of this city, and all I'm asking for is, you know, some cooperation and allowing me to at least be open till midnight with the outdoor music during the good weather. And then if there's any questions people have, I'd be happy to address them.
I'd like-
Stephen, go ahead.
I'd mentioned, yeah. So my only concern would be that we get input, because you do have residential places right across the street from there. Like, and
Right behind the alleyway, there's a couple residences.
Sure, but I'm actually talking across the street where your music would be projected toward. There's residences above Hawk American Outfitters, also above the Orchard is in somewhat proximity. That'd be the only thing I'd be worried about, is just what do the neighbors think? And if most people are, if most people are okay. I mean, people living in the downtown corridor expect a certain amount of noise by the residents. And, it'd be nice to almost get a sample of what it's going to sound like, before giving a blanket variance. I'm not opposed to a variance. I just like to make sure that we're not going to create some dissatisfaction with the current residents.
Well, and I want you to understand, I come in with a attitude of just wanting to be a great community partner and create charitable interests as well, and having a good working relationship with the city council. So, I'm always going to take impact feedback, make course corrections and changes based on your guys' recommendations. So I want you to know I'm not trying to get anything through. I want to be a good civic partner and do it in the best way that is for the best interest of the city. And if you guys determine that is not in the best interest of the city, then I'll change my business plan around. But I've invested so much in this and spent so much time. I think some of the uniqueness of my project is I brought in who I feel is the best young Asian chef to be my culinary director. And I think Cle Elum is going to have the best teriyaki in the teriyaki capital of the United States. And the state of Washington is going to be right here in town because he's creating the menu. So I got a lot of things I feel that are going to bring bonuses to that area. And this is just one of the things to draw more people into, to help me try and recoup the significant investment I've made.
So if the council is amenable to this, we'll see what kind of process we can develop to address his concerns.
Oh, we have is there not a variance application? Lucy, you might be able to refresh us. Is there a variance application process, like you apply for a variance?
Not for noise, no. There, in the past, the council has approved noise variances, but it's not a permitted process because it's not something that's in our code. It's just something that you all have provided to people over the years.
Typically it's for specific events,
right?
Like one-time events type of thing. So I would just say I'd like to, before I could feel confident granting such a variance, I'd like to hear what, the residents around and or at least open it up. Basically we, throw a public notice, and if nobody responds, then nobody responds. I mean, I'd like to at least hear something before we bring it to a vote of the council.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll create a public process. We'll get public input. We'll find out
Yeah.
what to address your concern.
Sure.
And then you can have, you know, a debate about it. And we'll figure out some way, if you're amenable, to make it work.
Perhaps the committee should actually look at the noise ordinance. It looks like it was from 1956.
Yeah.
And it's just under the nuisance code, but it talks about loudspeaking radios is something that is referenced. So perhaps it might make sense for us to actually take a look at it. I know Owensburg updated theirs in 2009. I just looked at, and maybe we want to actually
Yeah, well, let's do some research.
talk
You
to
know, we
clerk
can't-
and maybe.
Yeah, when you think about the noise that a diesel pickup truck makes anymore,
Indeed.
you know. You have a comment, Lucy?
Oh, I was just curious. I mean, I was listening for direction to staff if you needed a public notice put together for review by the committee, I guess.
Well, I think it's a combination of things. We need to look at the ordinance and make, you know, a recommendation for a change in that ordinance and have a public hearing on it. I think that'd probably be a good way to go about it. And we can get, you know, input from. the
Do you have an
residents.
approximate time you're looking to have have a understanding with the city concerning this? Mr. Eric?
The earliest that I think I'll be able to get open, right now, we're scheduled to open probably right around the last week or first week of October. We're trying to push it up just to capture that 3-day Labor Day weekend. I don't know if we'll make it, but if we do, I would love to be able to have some live music over Labor Day weekend.
That's good.
And
That
then it
gives us,
wouldn't be until next spring.
I think Kirk's trying to get
Oh, Kirk, go
attention.
ahead. Kirk, you want to address the council, Kirk?
Yes, I would. I have submitted an ordinance to the attorney, and it wasn't just the noise ordinance. There was a couple more that I'd like to have seen. And those have already been sent up to Alex. So I was hoping that we could spark her interest in that, to put her spin on them and bring them back to council to look at. One of those being the noise ordinance. And also there's been contacted about the helicopter landing in town, and we don't have an ordinance to prohibit that. So I found one that the city of Yakima does and forwarded that up. I think gave that to Kathy. So I don't know if that got forwarded up to Alex or not for review.
Up there safely.
Oh.
In a parking lot behind the
Gravity Coffee.
Gravity Coffee place.
oh, really?
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's like, what the heck's this? So, but there's nothing we can do about it. Okay.
Yeah, we got a nice
So
little
we'll-
airport.
we'll create a process.
Yeah.
We'll look at the ordinance, we'll get back the one that the attorney has before, and we'll see if we care to amend it.
Sure.
And
I think Lucy might have something more to say.
Oh, I was just gonna comment that I did review the draft ordinance that Chief Bland put together. And it does allow for a variance process or an exemption. I don't know exactly what it was called, but our current code doesn't really have anything like that. So the draft code would put together a process that we could actually use. So I am supportive of that. I think it would be helpful here.
Okay. Well, we'll work on that. Mickey?
When I was reading what you sent to us on there, I thought that the way it was written, that you're looking for 1 o'clock, not 12 o'clock.
No?
No, it says
Says
that
12
end
p.m.
by 12 a.m. or
later.
if allowed, but he's asking for Friday and Saturday,
For
10 to 12.
Okay, I read that 1 o'clock statement in there. I thought that's what we were looking for.
Well, we'll discuss it. We'll figure out what we can do to accommodate it. Any other questions for the public hearing from Eric? Okay, well, thank you, Eric. We'll be in touch. We'll figure out a process to see what we can do for you.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. And do I just sign off now or do I stay on or what do I do?
No, you can't leave. You gotta stay.
That's fine. It's interesting to hear you guys go back and forth and learn.
You can stay and listen.
It's completely up to you. You're free to come and go as you please, virtually or physically.
Thank you.
Rare I get to say that. Thank you. Oh, that's funny. Okay, there's no public hearings at this point, and so under unfinished business, we'll have the 2020 annual report, and Stephen Harper will
I believe you've all,
explain the significance.
yes, I believe you've all seen it, but again, there's things that a simple budget and even a finalized budget do not call out, assets and obligations, et cetera. And Robin has done a masterful job at giving us a 2020 annual report, kind of giving us abstracts of all those different things on many different levels. And so I'm just seeking to approve that report. Yeah, that she's created for us. I believe that it's accurate. Again, the draft report has been given to us for review. And I think that that we should approve it by motion.
I make a motion that we approve the annual report certification prepared by the city treasurer.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to approve the annual report certification. That goes to the state auditor. So is there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the annual report has been approved by the council. And this is new. This is new,
This is the first time that we've done it
Yeah.
on this scale.
but it's important that this information is shared, and that's why we're doing it. Okay, thank you, Stephen. Okay, so now under new business, we have ordinance 1660, amending the critical area ordinance, 18.01. So Lucy, you want to walk us through this?
Hello, yes, thank you again, Honorable Mayor and City Council. This is the first viewing of both the critical areas ordinance and then the shoreline master program to follow on the agenda. I speak for the Planning Commission when I say we would like to provide the council with an initial review, come back to ask for approval. So you're going to see this on the 24th agenda, which will include the consultant's recommendations as well as the formal recommendation from the Planning Commission. But this evening, I just wanted to provide you with the draft ordinance and the exhibit that is the actual text of the code for your initial review and allow extra time to review it before the May 24th meeting where we would be asking for adoption. The Planning Commission did quite a lot of work in reviewing. There were the appropriate public notices and public meetings held, discussions had, and many substantive comments received from the various resource agencies that have a kind of a stake in the critical areas, such as the Department of Ecology and the Department of Fish and Wildlife. Which is expected because the critical areas ordinance was written or published in 2010 and is quite outdated from current standards statewide. There are significant changes in the critical areas ordinance that bring it up to the state standards and state minimum legal requirements. And that's what you're seeing in this document. So I don't really have a request for you tonight other than to provide it for you, be here for any questions initially, and then just let you know we're going to be talking about it again in a more formal basis at your next meeting. I see a question.
Yes.
Yes, Lucy, are there maps that illustrate where these critical areas are in our community?
Yes, and those maps are, I believe they are not only on the Compass mapping system, but on our city's website. But maps are not generally included in the text of the code, but I could certainly present those to council at the next reading.
Probably should
That'd be
get a
great.
look at them before the meeting.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can get those at City Hall. They can come on
Okay.
in, we can find it for you.
Okay.
I can send out an email to the council if it pleases you with the maps following the meeting. If that's helpful.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
And then I will double check with our consultant about about making sure we have the updated maps for the 24th.
Okay. So we'll move on to ordinance number 1607, amending the Shoreline Master Program.
Thank you again. This is the same situation as far as introduction of the ordinance to council, and then we're going to come back on May 24th for a request for passing the ordinance. This process was done a little bit differently in that it's a mandatory scheduled regular update required by the Department of Ecology for all jurisdictions, all applicable jurisdictions. We have to update our Shoreline Master Program periodically, just like we have to update our comprehensive plan. And we have to do that under direct and close supervision of the Department of Ecology. And we had to hold a joint public meeting with the Department of Ecology. But they're the lead, basically the lead telling us what to do. And because we were required to do that, and because they offered us an $11,200 grant to do that update, the city in 2019 opted to do that update that's required, and also to add on the critical areas ordinance, because those documents go hand in hand and work very, very closely together. So we needed them to be aligned, which they currently are not. So we went through all the public notice hearing and the comments from the various agencies and community, and the Planning Commission has provided a formal recommendation to the City Council for both the previous agenda item and this Shoreline Master Program. And we'll be bringing those to you in your May 24th meeting packets. So again, I will look, make sure you have the shoreline map, but I'll tell you right now that it's quite simple. We only have two shoreline water bodies in the city of Cle Elum, and that's the Cle Elum River and the Yakima River. And the shoreline jurisdiction extends 200 feet landward of the ordinary high water mark of both of those rivers. And then its jurisdiction also extends into the floodway of those rivers as well, if it's larger. So those are the only places that the Shoreline Master Program is applicable for. And if you can visualize the city of Cle Elum and the rivers, that would apply to the managed open space area on the Bullfrog Flats, and which includes also the neighborhood of Wood Duck Road in some of the homes there. And then also, yeah, Mickey. And then when it comes to the Cle Elum or the Yakima River, our only public shorelines along the Yakima River would be the levee in between Whispering Pines and the South Cle Elum Bridge on the north side, the south side, which is all city parks. And then around the corner, there's some privately owned property there at the edge of the city limits. And then on the north side, again, crossing over Whispering Pines, the Hanson Ponds Parks, and all the way down to exit 85 at the east end of Cle Elum. So there really isn't a lot of development potential along the city's shorelines. But there were some substantive changes, not a lot, because we did just update our Shoreline Master Program in 2016, 2019 because of the tribe, and now again. So you're not seeing a lot of changes on this document, and it doesn't really reach into our development community so much as the critical areas ordinance. And that's what I have for you, and we'll be talking again on the 24th about it.
It's interesting to have a 1/2 inch thick text.
Yeah.
for what she summarized in 1.5 sentences.
Isn't that the truth?
But this is what applies to
I
everywhere
understand.
under the sun.
I understand, yeah.
Yeah.
It's small print too, mind you.
Right, right,
The book, it'd be a small paperback.
yeah,
We could read it in the evening
yeah.
if we printed it
Yeah.
like that.
Thank you, Lucy.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Lucy. So now we have before us an interlocal agreement with the Kittitas County Conservation District. And Lucy's on the docket for that again.
And that's me. So we have a grant opportunity through, it's a FEMA grant that was provided to the Kittitas County Conservation District. And the Conservation District applied on the behalf of many Upper County communities or organizations, including the city of Cle Elum, city of Roslyn, some of the fire districts, etc. And that grant I worked on with Rose Schreiner, who works for, she's the staff for the Kittitas Fire Adapted Communities Coalition, and she's a former staff of the Kittitas Conservation District. We started working on that together in 2018, and finally this grant was approved. And so for the city of Cle Elum, the parts of it that are approved are for basically fire resiliency and fire protection. And this came about because of the magnitude of two fires, the Ryegrass fire and the Jolly Mountain fire, which triggered the FEMA response to allow our communities within a certain distance of these catastrophic fires to be eligible for a certain amount of grant funding. So that's why this kind of umbrella is covering so many different communities and organizations, and Kittitas County Conservation District is that umbrella. So the reason for the interlocal is so that we can work with the Kittitas Conservation District and accept the funding that they have been granted on our behalf. And it doesn't, this interlocal doesn't include any of the other communities. It's just for the city of Cle Elum, the Kittitas County Conservation District, so that we can take advantage of that grant money. And just a very quick rundown of what it is. It includes an emergency generator for the City Hall building, an emergency generator for the police department, and it includes quite a lot of funding for fuels reduction in our alleys, streets, and public right-of-way, like around our water towers and other places on city property. And then it also included money for clearing out of our brush dump, which subsequent to the application way back in 2018, Public Works was successful at clearing out our brush dump debris and eliminating that fire risk. And so we're still working with KCCD, the Conservation District, and FEMA to try to see if we can reallocate some of that grant funding into some of these other purposes, but we're still working on that. So that's the reason. It's just to make our city safer and allow for us to take advantage of the funding someone else was able to get for us.
Stephen,
So-
go ahead.
I'll move it for, and take a second for discussion, but I move that we authorize the mayor to sign the interlocal agreement between the Kittitas County Conservation District and the city of Cle Elum, allowing the city to accept FEMA grant funding from a KCCD grant.
Second.
Moved and seconded to authorize the mayor to sign the interlocal agreement with KCCD to be reimbursed by FEMA. Questions?
You have something, Mickey?
I got a question. This is the master shoreline agreement right here.
Yeah,
This we're reviewing. And we all got computers now. Can't we just make a note on there that it go to such and such on your computer and you got it instead of printing all this out?
okay,
I
yes.
I think
And
only
then-
some of
then
us
print,
got to print it. I'm glad to get the print.
Okay,
I
but
print
hang on, guys, hang
a
on.
few copies
Yeah.
for the public.
Yeah, we gotta stay
hang on,
germane with the
hang on,
motion.
Hang on. We had a motion and a second to authorize. We'll get back to that. We're in the middle of a motion, and we'll get back to that in a second. Let me finish. He made a motion. Stephen made the motion. Matthew seconded. Questions on the motion?
Yeah, so we need to come up with 12.5%, which is 58,000 some odd dollars. So are we okay in the budget on
I would say with the unexpected funding from or unallocated or earmarked funding from the two aforementioned sources, it's well within our budget to be able to do that. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I think so too.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to mention
No,
that.
that's.
But
very good
it's a
point.
yeah, very good question, but it's a steal of a deal too, and it's two things we need. But the firewizing is very important and the backup generation of power.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I just comment here? The city is required to provide $12,787 in eligible matched funds, according
Percent of
to
the 58.
page 2, section 5.
Oh, yeah.
Page 2
Page
of
two, there's no
30.
page numbers.
So under
So,
your
Okay, we got it. We got
Yeah.
it. There it is. Under
what
term,
Stephen was
number
referring
5.
to was the state match.
Yes.
I see.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, that's a better deal. Yeah, they got a deal.
Yeah, right. Price went down.
All right.
Yeah, a lot, yeah.
Okay. But even still, we're getting a lot of value. Okay. So any other questions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, the mayor will sign the interlocal agreement. So now, Mickey, you had a comment about
Yeah,
the
was
the
trying to
shoreline.
get it in earlier,
That's
but,
okay.
that's, look at that.
I think the
mean,
next agenda item will
and there-
actually answer that question.
Yeah, I,
Okay, all right. Okay, now,
I
Yeah.
think the staff only printed it for you and I,
yeah. Everybody
not
else
for
got it.
everybody.
Everybody else got it.
Personally, I like getting it written. And I think the waste of paper was just you and I.
well,
So I always have a paper copy.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so
I
another,
don't need- well,
so Mickey,
yeah.
what Matthew is going to present in the next one has to do with how the communication tools that the city clerk is going to have at her disposal. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go
okay,
on to that, and this will, I think we'll be able to address your concerns with the management system, city clerk. Go ahead,
Yes.
Matthew.
Yes, so early, late last year, the IT committee, as part of our conversations about the server upgrade, talked about looking at a system to do better agenda management and be able to utilize these devices that we all got better during these meetings, and hopefully really help Kathy be able to not have to spend so much time getting the packets and everything together. So we are excited to bring tonight that after a lot of conversations, and really thank you to Kathy and Rob for really quarterbacking this, a system that we feel really comfortable with the council, hopefully moving forward with, and it will just to cover a couple of highlights of it. So it's a system called Civic Clerk. It's part of a suite of tools that this company offers to help cities, municipalities, boards, other folks work better. And so this is really going to save a lot of time for Kathy in getting them ready, because not only is the system sort of templated, so she doesn't have to recreate the wheel every meeting, but it also relies on staff to actually upload their supporting documents right in. She doesn't have to corral or handle all of that. It all gets put in the system.
Publishing, she doesn't have her own publishing every 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. So it'll be easier to be all in the system. It'll be great for us as council members, and hopefully the planning commission and others, because we'll be able to easily access the materials, move back and forth through as we're going through the meeting, search the text. And the cool part is with these handy dandy little pencils that we have that go with these devices, you can actually take notes on the device, on the page you're looking at, and those get saved in here for public record, because we're supposed to do that. So make sure that all gets saved in there, but allows us to save, be able to go back and reference the materials and still have your notes there, so you're not having to save reams of paper in perpetuity. And then finally, I think the best part is for citizens, it's going to allow more transparency and accessibility to our meetings. There will be a portal on the website that will have all of our packets and minutes and notices and all of that. And those will all automatically get put up there in real time as they're put into the system. So again, not having Kathy or somebody else have to go in and upload them to the website and all of that, and allow citizens to not only be able to download and search all these documents, but also be able to actually sign up for email subscriptions so they get a notification when the minutes are uploaded or when the agenda is uploaded, so they can really keep up on what's going on. So I think for the staff, for the council, for the committees, and certainly for the citizens, this is going to be a really, really, really great tool to help bring us into the 21st century and make us more transparent and accountable. So I would, I guess, like a motion from someone to let us proceed and move forward with this. The cost, it's $5,360 in year one, and then in year 2 and beyond, it's $36.75 a year, and that's well within the IT budget, and will allow us to use the system that I think is real robust.
The main thing is, as more and more requirements get laid on the city clerk, especially public records requirements, this is going to, I believe it has the potential to easily pay for itself in just, in just her time over very quickly, but also the accessibility, the increased transparency. And after seeing that, and also Kathy is enthusiastic about adopting a system like this. And that's one of the main things is you can have the greatest tools, but if the person using them isn't excited about it, then she is. And so with that, I would, I don't think we actually, I think it's more of a vote of confidence, but I would motion that we authorize staff to subscribe to the city clerk services.
Second. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, yes. So it's a motion to direct staff proceed with the procurement of the city clerk.
Agenda management system.
Agenda management system. Yeah, right there's the perfect word. Thank you. So all those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Oh.
Somebody's got to be against it.
Oh, let's see.
I'm just old fashioned. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Oh, so there's one.
Kathy, I love you.
Okay, all right. With that, the motion passes. Okay. Okay, I want to bring a little bit of something. There's a couple of pictures here that I put on the table. We've had real. We're starting to have negotiations with the county over the county city shop in Cleveland. And what they're looking for, we want that shop, but the sheriff is looking for he wanted it too. So he's looking for a place like a warehouse space to house his boats and to mobilize. And so
maybe they ought to contemplate building some hangars up by the airport and storing their stuff inside them.
Well, in any case, okay, so what I'm getting at is we're just beginning to talk about this, and I wanted to bring it to your attention, and I'm seeking a motion to proceed. Nothing has been decided. The county commissioners know about it. They want to participate in it. We're going to have discussions about value and that sort of stuff. And so I'm asking the council not to approve this. We will present something on paper, but that I am in the process of negotiating with the county over this. And they're real interested in 5 acres at the airport.
And these are closed door.
Yes, right. But nothing's going to be decided. You guys will decide completely what the result of it is. But they said I just wanted to have I wanted to praise you of these discussions and see whether or not you would authorize.
My only caution would be to communicate well with the airport committee and make sure we know what's going on over there.
Yes.
Because we have strategic goals that we'd like to see
I
done.
make a motion that we authorize the mayor to negotiate with the county. And along with that motion, I just want to commend the mayor for working in good faith with people and being as open as he is. He doesn't have to be this open with what he's brought here. So, but my motion is to endorse the mayor continuing with negotiations with the county.
Moved and seconded, to authorize the mayor to continue in negotiations over the city of the county shop and the airport. And I'll keep you appraised. You know, nothing's going to be decided. I'll bring it all to the council. And we'll find out values, all those kind of things. We'll talk to the airport committee, all that stuff. The sheriff is pretty excited about it. He needs a warehouse, 1,200 square feet to put boats and keep rubber boots and dog sleds and all that stuff. And he needs a place where he can have up to 100 people show up and mobilize to go off and do something.
Search and rescue.
Search and rescue. This is for search and rescue. And we have some of their stuff already in our firehouse. So we're working with them already. And so I just keep you appraised. Okay. Committee report.
We didn't vote.
Vote.
Let me add one thing about this shop here. If they're used to the noise up there that a shop puts out, so it's ideal for us to move. Something like out at the airport, you would have to go through the new noise and everything there and get on and on. But this should be able to move in and just take out.
Okay, yes. Questions on the motion?
I just missed something. So I'm sorry, the 5 acres at the airport,
Yeah.
we're talking about,
We own.
we own,
It's municipal.
they own this,
Yeah.
Yes.
and we're talking about potentially swapping. Got it. I just want to make sure I,
Yeah.
Follow that.
Swapping. Yeah.
okay.
But, we have to make
Sure.
sure that it's
Yep.
the values
Got
are sufficient.
I mean, we could always negotiate a 100-year lease and a 100-year lease.
And-
For $1
and
a
actually,
year.
For search and rescue, I mean, they were surprised, we had a long conversation here with the sheriff and the county commissioners and all that stuff, and they go, holy mackerel. They do use, the heliport is down there. At there. And so for emergency services, it's actually very ideal for them to be situated out there.
And probably best if they're on airport road.
And they're on
like you're
Airport
looking.
Road.
Well, and any response out to the Tiana Way would also be able to be staged a lot better out there.
And it is public reserve. I mean, it is for public use, and that is public use. We're not building houses out there.
Yeah.
So just to give you a praise. So is there how about a, let's see, it's moved and seconded. Any more questions on the motion? If not, all in favor with aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, thank you guys for that. Committee reports.
I have a quick Parks Committee update if I could.
Yeah.
So just so the council and the public knows, the city park pavilion that the Kiwanis spearheaded, we had to reschedule the ribbon cutting because it was scheduled for the first snow we had, I think, way back in October. So that will be taking place on May 19th, I believe 4 to 6 p.m. So that's definitely something to come to.
What time of night?
I believe it's 4 to 6 p.m. And then also the City Park Playground, which we approved the lodging tax funds for last meeting, is moving along. The equipment's ordered and it's slated to actually be constructed on site on June 12th. So hopefully we will have the new playground equipment installed and ready to go, around or shortly after school gets out. So hopefully we can have everybody enjoy it throughout the summer. So those are 2 things going on.
I'll be good for the 4th of July.
Indeed.
One thing I might, and I don't know where it would go to, I don't know what committee or whatever, but in the summertime, it's not a big deal because it stays light pretty late. But one thing we might consider as we're getting more developed facilities there, we might consider and especially if we're able to possibly consider getting some type of a grant. I know that it's been contemplated, approaching, I forget the one that Puget Sound Energy, their nonprofit organization. But as we get light there, we might consider, amending the ordinance to where it would allow activities beyond dusk in certain times of the year where there's, where there's lighted areas and stuff. Because like right now, technically, even though the pavilion's lighted, after dark, you're not supposed to be there, because so, just maybe considering, looking at those restrictions, and as light and more development happens there, we might want to consider lightening up on the, on
Yes,
the
I think that's a good
prohibitions.
consideration, considering the
Yeah.
fact that there's an incredible amount of money going to be put in this parking.
Indeed.
Having some lights down there when people are driving by to keep them sort of even
Yeah.
to keep them.
I mean, we always want to balance it because you don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want parties going on across the street from my house at night, but I wouldn't mind, having them play basketball till 9 or 10 is great.
But we were certainly glad, I mean, getting the lights just in the gazebo was a good first step to be able to at least somewhat see in the park at night, because otherwise it's pitch black and.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Can I make a slight correction? Councilman Lund said that on May 19th, the dedication of the pavilion actually starts at 4:30.
4:30, thank you.
4 p.m. And I believe that you may have all received an email invite from Larry Shull, who is the project sponsor for the Kiwanis. And I think it's would be amazing if everybody could come out and show support, because they are dedicating a $70,000 structure and like $130,000 project to the city. So Larry's worked very hard, and so has the whole Parks Committee on that. 4:30 on the 19th.
Okay. Thank you for that. Anything to go to the order? John, do you want to stay here longer?
Move to adjourn.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, guys.